Hi, I'm Mike with Joyfully Growing Blog. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about all things RV lighting. I'll be showing you how to remove RV light fixtures as well as how to put them back up. So this will be perfect for if you just have a broken light fixture and you need to replace it, or if you're just looking to upgrade your lighting to something that looks a little bit better or that offers a little bit better light output. And a lot of people want to know, can you take a regular 120 volt residential light fixture and convert it to make it work in an RV? We'll get to that question later in the FAQs, but yes, you can do it. I'll show you how. In our trailer, there's a big red lever in the underbelly that says battery disconnect. They usually try and make it really obvious and labeled. And you also want to make sure that your trailer is not plugged into shore power as well. RV lights come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but they all work essentially the same. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two common styles of RV lights and I'll show you how to remove them and how to install a new one. The first one that we'll be taking a look at today is a light that's commonly installed in RV ceilings. This style of light is called a flush mount light and it's really easy to work with. They look kind of like recessed lighting, but it's actually just a really thin flush mount light. We've actually kind of had a problem with these. The factory must have used the cheapest ones that they could possibly find because we've had almost all of ours go out. It would just start flickering a little bit at first and it would gradually get worse until they pretty much just did not work anymore. Luckily, these light fixtures are fairly cheap and they only take a few minutes to swap out. They have just a little lip where you can fit a screwdriver into, and it's pretty easy to just pry the lens cover off. I've also seen a lot of these little fixtures where the lens cover twists off instead of pops off. Once you've got that off, it exposes the 4 screws that are holding the light fixture up. So you just unscrew these and the light fixture will pull straight down out of the ceiling. The wires are hooked up with these little crimp connectors. They're non-removable, non-reusable. So we're just going to go ahead and cut them off and we'll replace them with these little wire nuts. I like using the wire nuts to hook these back up just because they're easy to work with. You don't need a crimp tool or anything like that. To prep the wires for wire nuts, you need to strip the wire back a little bit. You can either use wire strippers if you have them. You do want to make sure and get the wires hooked back up to the right wires. These ones here are going to be really easy because they're both black and white. So I'm just going to hook up black to black and white to white. I always make sure to test the light before I reinstall it up into the ceiling just to make sure that it works. And we're going to reinstall it the same way that we took it down. I'll just get all of these wires tucked back up into the ceiling and then reinstall the 4 screws that hold it up and snap the lens cover back in place. Here is the second style of light that we're going to be looking at how to remove. This is a really common style of light that you'll find in both campers and in residential homes. We're going to go ahead and swap this out for something that looks a little bit better, a little bit more modern. Let's take a look at how to remove this light fixture. On the bottom here, there's a decorative nut and it should just twist right off. This nut is just supposed to look good, so it's not really holding anything up, so you don't have to worry about the lens falling when you take it off. Once you've got that out of the way, you'll see the nut that's actually holding the lens up. So now you want to start being careful. Put your hand up on the lens while you're trying to twist this nut off. Normally, you should be able to remove these nuts just by hand, but for whatever reason, this one was on there super tight, so I ended up needing to use pliers to get a grip on it. And once you've got the nut spun all the way off, the lens will drop freely down. Now that the lens is gone, you can see on the inside of this light fixture that there's 2 lamp holders that are supposed to be holding 2 little automotive style bulbs. One of the bulbs is missing, not really sure why. Another option that you have is you don't necessarily have to upgrade the whole light fixture. If all you're looking for is an upgrade to LED, you can just find the correct style of LED bulbs that will fit in your light fixture and just replace the bulbs only. But we're going to be upgrading the whole fixture today. So to remove the fixture, you'll need to remove these 2 screws that are holding it up onto the ceiling, and then be careful as you're lowering it down because it's still going to be connected with the wires above. So if you've shut the power off in your trailer properly, there should be no power in these 2 wires. And now we can work on starting to put our new light fixture up. This light fixture that we've chosen to put here is a cheap light fixture. I think it's from Amazon, but it's actually a standard 120 volt residential light fixture. We've gotten a lot of questions on this about if it's possible to use a standard light fixture and how to do it. So I want to take a little bit of time here to explain how to do this. The long and short of it is that pretty much any light fixture that you just screw bulbs into can be converted to use in a 12-volt system. Even if a light fixture was originally designed to work with 120 volt power, it'll work perfectly fine with the trailer's 12-volt electrical system. Here is the magic behind this conversion. These two Edison style light bulbs, they look about the same, but one of them uses 120 volts and one of them uses only 12 volts. This really is all there is to the conversion. So you hook your standard light fixture up to your 12 volt and then don't use a 120 volt light bulb, just use a 12 volt one and it works perfectly fine. On a residential light fixture, once you open it up, you'll find that there are 3 wires coming out of the back. So one's a positive, one's a negative, and one is a ground. And we're trying to use it with a 12-volt electrical system in a camper that only has 2 wires. This might seem a little bit confusing or a little bit intimidating, but don't worry, I'll make it really simple here for you. If you want to use the residential light fixture, the first thing that you're going to need to do is figure out which one of the 3 wires is the ground wire. A lot of times, this is the only wire that does not have insulation on the outside of it, so it's normally left bare copper. Sometimes this wire will have green insulation on it or green and yellow. Once you figured out which your ground wire is, we're just going to cut this wire off completely. We'll keep it simple and we'll just get it out of the way. Now that we got rid of the ground wire, we have a light fixture with 2 wires, and your camper should have 2 wires also. So now you might be wondering, how do you figure out which wire goes to which? And that is a good question. If you're going to be using a LED light, it will only work with the wires hooked up correctly. The good news is that if you accidentally hook it up backwards on your first attempt, nothing bad will happen. It's not going to smoke, it won't short out the system. The only thing that will happen is the light bulb will not work. Because of this, I don't even try to figure out ahead of time which wire needs to go to which. I just do it more as a trial and error type of thing. So I hook it up one way, turn the power on, and see if the light bulb works. If it does, that means that I've got it hooked up correctly. If it doesn't work, then I'll just switch the wires around and test it out again, and it'll usually start working. Since this light fixture is now hooked up to 12 volt power, you'll need to use a 12 volt light bulb. If you were to accidentally put a 120 volt light bulb in this light fixture and turn it on, nothing bad's gonna happen. It's just not gonna work. This is what the mounting hardware looks like that came with this light. It's going to be a really simple install. All we're going to do is use some wood screws. If this light fixture was a little bit bigger or heavier, I would probably use some anchors, but the wood screws are going to work fine for this little light. Now we need to connect the wires, and I'm going to use my little trial and error system. I'm just going to kind of randomly hook up 2 of the wires and turn the power back on and test it out. And it looks like I've got it on the first attempt this time. So the electrical is good, and now we can mount the light fixture. To get all the wiring hid up inside of the light, sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to kind of spin the light fixture around a little bit and get the wires twisted up in there. And then we need to install these little nuts to hold the light fixture up. Okay, now we're going to answer some frequently asked questions that we get about RV lighting. Can you take an old school looking RV light fixture that has a built-in switch, and is there any way to make it look a little bit better, a little bit sleeker, or what should you do about it if you want to upgrade? There's a couple different options that you have, but my favorite is these puck style LED lights. They're a flush mount light. They're pretty sleek and minimal. They just kind of blend into the ceiling. You don't really notice them, but they put out a good amount of light. This particular light is controlled with a little button on the side of it. And the cool thing about these also is if you long press the button, they are dimmable as well. Is it possible to upgrade the lighting on an older trailer to get recessed lighting? Yes, kind of. In newer trailers, it looks like they have recessed lighting, but it's actually just a flush mount light fixture like this that has a little cover. So they're super thin and flat, and you just mount them directly to the ceiling, and just the wiring goes up above that. So in almost any trailer, you should be able to install these flush mount lights, and it will give you the look of recessed lighting. So if you're wanting to upgrade the lighting in your trailer, these are a really good option. You can usually get them in bulk packs that come with 6 or 10 or 12 or whatever. This is a really good high impact project because you don't have to spend really a lot of money or a lot of time, but it really makes a big difference if you're taking out a lot of old, bulky, ugly lights and replacing them with nice, flush, good looking lights. If you're working with a light fixture that does not have a switch, what type of options do you have for light fixtures? In this case, you're just going to be limited to any type of light fixture that you can find that has some sort of a physical switch on the light fixture itself. So there's a couple different options that you have. My favorite option, I think, is going to be these minimalist white flush mount puck style light fixtures. They come in several different sizes. I think this is close to the smallest size that they make, but they also make bigger ones. But these are really nice just because they're small and sleek and white. They're really not all that noticeable. They just kind of blend into the ceiling, which can really be a good thing unless you're really wanting your light fixture to be a statement piece. You want the eye to be drawn to it. Another option that you could use is what we installed over our dining room table. It just has a little twist dial and that turns the light on and off. How do you upgrade the lighting in your older camper from incandescent to LED? So this is a good question, and this is also a really worthwhile upgrade. LED lights use a lot less energy, especially for when you're camping off-grid. You don't have your trailer hooked up. Incandescent bulbs on average are going to use about 10 times as much power as LED ones, so that's going to make a big difference for your battery life when you're not plugged in. If you want to be staying up after dark, reading your books or playing games, whatever it is, you want to be able to run your lights and not worry about it killing your battery. To do this, the easiest and cheapest way is going to be to just remove your incandescent bulbs and find a LED option to upgrade to. This is going to be a super easy and affordable way to upgrade your trailer to LED, so you're going to get all the advantages that LED has to offer, longer battery life and whatnot. But you're still going to have the exact same light fixtures in there. They won't look any different. They'll just be using less power. So if you also want them to look a little bit sleeker or better at the same time, then you're going to need to remove those light fixtures and upgrade the whole fixture to an LED. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to support the channel, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more helpful RV content.